Let me start by saying that humor is a weapon, and one of the theories says it's a theory of superiority. This means that when we make fun of their shortcomings, we exalt ourselves, thus protect ourselves, protect our values, protect our dignity and our culture. And in fact, with the beginning of the full-scale invasion, memes appear in the second or third day, and then appear almost continuously every day. And I must say that memes appear before the full-scale invasion, and the political cartoon is a form of art revived again after February 20th. And I must say that memes appeared before the full-scale invasion, and the political cartoon as a form of art revived after February 24th. There are probably 12 or 15 good artists in Ukraine who probably due to various circumstances could not or did not want to publish. And in fact, February 24th gave such an absolute surge of grotesque political cartoons and memes, and now we have in fact, as researchers and just people interested in the cartoon situation, such a funny view of the current situation, and at the same time mockery of our enemy, who we want to defeat. In addition, this is a document of the era that, without further ado, makes it possible, as you can see from these cartoons, to see such an instant photo of what is happening in the country now, because they show our attitude towards the enemy very quickly, and without further ado show what we all are experiencing during this war. Why is humor a powerful weapon? I have already mentioned the theory of superiority, which actually believes that when we laugh at our enemy or at our opponents, we reduce their value. And as everyone probably remembers from the story of the world's second army, it emerged probably precisely due to the fact of not only the victories of our Ukrainian and not only Ukrainian fighters, but also due to these grotesque cartoons that started to emerge all over the world, that proves that, in fact, cartoons are weapons. Because when people laugh at you, you start to lose confidence. And all these pictures, all these memes, a whole series of videos, a whole series of witty humorous songs, a whole range of new artists have emerged, and in fact all these has molded into a sort of a fist which delivers blows without a break from morning to evening. Humor really is a weapon, since you know that you can hurt the most with a word, and a grotesque caricature fortunately combines both an image and a text. Although most cartoons are there, as we can see, without text, this is an opportunity to inflict a sensitive blow with art. You rightly noted that this is not only a weapon and a document of the era, this is a very good, soothing or therapeutic agent. I must say that humor can also be so supportive, inspiring for us, and, in fact, so explosive, attacking the enemy. It is a feature of humor that it is keen to his own kind and ruthless to the enemy. The current war, or any war, is a war that takes place in a specific territory with specific troops and specific tasks, and, as the military say, in specific theaters of military action. It is happening in physical realm. As for cultural media or discourse into a new dimension, this is what people write about. Shoot videos, make radio programs and interviews. Discourse is, relatively speaking, a reality formatted by words. And in fact, this discourse and dimension, as we can see, is now working at the national level. I've already recalled the powerful surge of Ukrainian cartoonists who are actually now experiencing the renaissance, so to speak, and their work appear in exhibitions every day in Kiev and in other cities. On the other hand, we have this all now on international level. I had the opportunity to compare it all in my monograph, which we'll talk about later. The fact that cartoons are now actually appearing on all continents. Now the materials that I have begun to collect for my next book, from Australia to the United States, include a very powerful indeed, in fact, anti-Putin global coalition, which the whole world is now behind us and supports Ukraine. As I have already said, cartoons are now appearing in Europe, Western Europe and Africa, and very interesting Iranian cartoons also. And this, in fact, is a discursive dimension. This what they write and draw about and talk about this war. And in particular, as I have already said, it has national, domestic dimension and a global one. And in fact, both of these dimensions support Ukraine and support our fight against their freedom. Political humor is a broader concept in general, and it is considered to be more philosophical. And this is actually one of the types of humor. Humor can be an everyday humor, about our everyday situations. Instead, satire is a major part of political humor. It works this way. There are three main categories of political satire. There is a goal. It's the face, which is the aim of the political satire, then there's the focus. This is the aspect that the cartoonist or author criticizes, so to speak, the design or presentation. That is, those artistic methods that make it possible to show more expressively what they are criticizing. Researchers mainly talk about political humor, but analyze political satire. So it's not as effective as HIMARS or leopard tanks. However, if you monitor these websites that publish cartoons and sites that publish memes, hardly go by a day without one or another new cartoon appearing. Of course, there are more successful ones and less successful ones, because quantity does not always translate into quality. So, is humor effective? I think it is. Of course, it played its very mobilizing role in the first few weeks of the war, because in truth we, at least the people who are involved, were somewhat taken by surprise. Everyone knew it would happen, but the fact that it is going to happen all of a sudden, well, not really all of a sudden, but still, in fact, humor at the beginning of the war actually played its mobilizing function and helped us to survive the first few weeks. And now I think cartoons have become more biting and sharper, and it feels like we're not afraid of anything anymore. It's not going to get any worse. There will only be a victory. Political humor has always been there, but it has generally been quite toothless, and it was pretty clear. For example, I can recall the story when Volodymyr Zelensky was elected president. At that time, there were internet balls, as we say, between Poroshenko's supporters and supporters of Volodymyr Zelensky. And what's interesting is that cartoonists and meme writers used similar images. And in fact, it was such a mirror criticism. With the start of the full-scale invasion, humor has provided us with emotional support. And I would also like to note that under the influence of our cartoonists and our memes and our people who wrote different songs, even if you check the tweets or posts of our official or general staff or the National Security Service or the President's office, their Twitter also has verbal humor. This is a separate big topic. So humor helps us fighting not only just with weapons. Since we laugh at an enemy, he becomes less scary, as it seemed at first. And with each new meme, fear diminishes until it just disappears. These things could have their influence, although I have always regretted that many things in Ukraine began to intensify only under the influence of full-scale aggression. For example, any Western newspaper or magazine is almost impossible without cartoonists. Most newspapers or magazines have cartoonists on their staff, so to accompany certain materials with grotesque cartoons. So the Western public was ready for this kind of humor. We have it like memes supplanted all this. With all due respect to memes, you know, there is haute cuisine and fast food. As for me, as a researcher, caricature is haute cuisine and memes are fast food, although they are also very popular thanks to the web. Cover cartoons played such a supportive or additional function because the Western press, as a researcher from the Western press, can say that the Western press informed its citizens better and the public reads them. And the cartoons on the cover that accompany their materials were actually an additional incentive to read this or that material.